Okay. Oh, YouTube. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Start with a light little meditation, see where we're heading. Um, I'm sitting here minding my own business as usual, watching TV, playing games on my iPad, and we're just like, we have to make a video. And I'm like, now it's like almost 3 in the morning. Nobody cares. And it's not my job to reason why. Sorry, I haven't been here for a little while. Been studying astrology. I actually took a 6 weeks class in astrology, and now I'm starting a second class, which is going to be a year long. So that's going to be really good for my channel, etc. And so yeah, we're doing all that. And I did have a little bit of an accident. Had a little bit of a concussion, and so wasn't supposed to be using screens and stuff like that. But we're getting back on track, and here we go. So, um, so we're just gonna start out first by seeing what Spirit wants us to know, and some people talk about the shift of the ages, and Spirit wants us to know that there is a shift that is happening. They're talking about a shift that's happening dynamically, but they're saying that things might be a little bit glitchy for some of you. Um, Glitchy meaning things sort of starting, stopping, starting, stopping kind of a deal, or things that were supposed to move forward and then didn't. And then um, May is supposed to be May is supposed to be a prosperous sign for prosperous sign. May is meant to be a prosperous time for a lot of people between May and June. Um, they're telling me that well, I guess it started like December 5th. Things could be going a little bit slow for a lot of people. Like it feels like kind of like sluggish. Um, since around like December 5th, moving in through probably around the second week of March, we'll start to feel things kind of moving forward more. And it doesn't mean that there aren't positive things that are happening, like individually and things like that. But we're talking about things happening globally as a collective, that kind of a thing. Um, like I said, it is almost like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I did want to do like an all science portion um, in this video. So we're going to see how that flows. Um, Spirit said that's what we're going to do. So we're just going to see how that flows. And as people know, I'm not in charge, right? Like if you've been here before, you know that I just say what Spirit wants me to say, and we just do you know, what Spirit wants us to do. So just gonna move forward and see what happens, right? Um, I'm only partially in charge, only partially. So yeah, let's jump into it. Let's kind of see what the cards are saying for us um, as a whole, what the energies are all about. So the Knight of Pentacles, which is just what I said, or what Spirit said, right? That things are going to be moving slow, right? It's interesting because this card is ruled by a sign of Taurus. Um, this is the Knight of Pentacles. He's ruled by Taurus, and the planet is ruled by the sign of Taurus. So that's interesting, right? And the Knight of Pentacles can talk about um, it can talk about a financial blessing. However, um, this is a slow moving card. This card represents slow moving energy. This guy is meant to be planting seeds in his let's see here. He's meant to be planting seeds out in this field. And right now he's kind of looking, when I see them with the pentacle in their hand like that, right? Yeah, I see it as like kind of like a crystal ball kind of thing. So it's kind of like he's looking at his options about what it is that he wants to do, right? And you kind of look at the horse. The horse isn't really moving. He's not really like charging anywhere or anything like that, right? So, um, and this card being Taurus would put us into April, May time period. Um, so I think that things can be slow up until around like that time period, like we're talking about, right? But this is a time period about planting seeds for the future, and kind of I would call it kind of trusting your instincts around things as well, right? Um, Taurus is a card that Taurus is a sign, right? It is ruled by Venus, so Venus can be connected to, love and beauty and things like that, earthly related things, right? Um, but it's also related to money, finances, stuff like that, right? So you want to be planting seeds for, planting seeds could be, it could really be anything, planting seeds for really planting seeds for what it is that you want to be doing, like on a financial level, things, things that you're trying to manifest, right? Because it is pentacles, and pentacles are earthly related things. So, you know, so we are talking about that. So, what else do we want to know about here? So that's what we need to know for today. What is that all about? Shuffle till we're being told to stop. Okay, there we go. And again, we have like money, finances. So this is the King of Pentacles is about wealth, right? And I see him as something that's kind of related to, um, you know, like Wall Street. The white thing going across him um, is really part of his robe, right? But I usually see it as like this ticker tape thing, like they do in like New York, stuff like that. So, but like you can see, right, this is the king, this is the knight, and this is the king. So this is moving forward, going from the knight to the king, which means that things are going to be manifesting. There are going to be the spirit is talking about degrees of wealth that are trying to manifest here, right? Um, you have the Five of Swords here, which is a card that says like fear of defeat, right? It's not actual defeat, but it's called fear of defeat, right? It's a five, so five is a number of change, but it's also swords, right? So swords are the mental suit. They're all about the mind, things like that, right? So it's a card that has a lot to do with kind of getting out of your own way, right? And this is a Mars-based card because it is about war, battles, swords, stuff like that, right? And Mars is retrograde right now. So, so you do want to, where is Mars? I think Mars is in Leo right now. Um, pretty sure. So depending upon where Leo is in your chart, right? Leo can be success. Leo can be very dynamic, kind of a kind of is the sun, stuff like that. But this is a card, like I said, this is about a card that says to stop fighting, right? You can see like there's been this battle going on around here. Five is the number of chaos, right? Chaos in the mind, really, right? So really not knowing what to do, right? And it's really like stop fighting and more about like trusting your instincts around things. So, you know, and it does show fighting with other people, right? So there can be a lot of that going on, right? Kind of fighting with other people, kind of instigating kind of trouble, right? And things like that, even if you don't want to, right? Which is interesting. Um, it's saying you may not necessarily want to be causing arguments, but it's just, if you're running around with a chip on your shoulder kind of thing, then, kind of saying things under your breath, things like that, right? Other people hearing you when you don't want them to hear you, right? Mercury just went direct, so communication could be getting better. Um, you know, by Mars is retrograde. So, and Mars is a planet that is about war, battles, things like that. And it is a planet that kind of like snips and cuts and things like that, right? So, there could be endings, things going on, right? So we have two fives, right? And five, again, number of changes, worry about money and finances, right? So again, it's kind of staying out of your head related to all of the money and financial things happening, right? And here's the Queen of Cups, right? Trusting your own instincts around things, right? So, like I said, we have the King of Cups over here, divine pairing, as they call it. And again, the Seven of Swords, which is a card that talks about a fear of moving forward, right? So we have three of these cards here that are talking about fear-based thing, right? But this is a card about communication. The Eight of Wands is communication. So it is a card paying attention to, communication, which is like thoughts, words, writing, right? Like thinking, all that kind of stuff, right? Paying attention to how you're thinking, right? And having a desire for things to be able to move forward. And with this card showing up here in the middle, it's going to be amazing. Pretty amazing. Um, all right. So we have the Ten of Pentacles here, right? Ten of Pentacles is money, finances. You can see it's raining money here. It's all about like family, right? So this is a card that can be connected to a few different things, right? So it's a card that brings up things about like wealth, money, finances. It's a card that talks about like financial independence, but um, financial security. That's what I'm looking for. But it's a card that can talk about legacies. It's a card that can talk about inheritances, things like that, right? Especially if it is an inheritance where I was going to say if there was a female person that passed away, but this may very well be a female person who is in charge, right? Like the what do they call it, an executrix, right? A person who's in charge of will, stuff like that, right? But this does look like there is worry about whoever this person is, right? And so this may not necessarily be um I was going to say this may not necessarily be your favorite person, but what I'm really getting here is that this may be somebody that you don't necessarily know that well, right? Because you do have the Ace of Swords here, which does talk about new ideas, things like that. It does bring up things connected to February, the sign of Aquarius, which is the end of January to the end of February. We have Capricorn, which is the end of December to the end of January, the end of January to the end of February. Right. End of January, end of February is Aquarius. That's the next air sign. Whenever I see aces show up, it would be the next sign of whatever that suit is. So, um, So things are going to start looking good. They're going to start speeding up. And this looks like there's going to be more, we would call it like more profit, things like that. There could be things that come up here, especially if you're thinking about, because this is words, right? Thinking, communication, thinking, new ideas coming up here, right? Things that are connected to home. Real estate, that's what I'm looking for. So if you're looking at things that are either connected to like somebody else's estate or like, you know, you looking into things connected to real estate, stuff like that, even if it is through a legacy, things like that, right? But it is a card that I use for, you know, if you're looking to kind of like make your mark on the world, however that's going to happen, right? And so this is saying that, you know, there, it looks to me like there may have been plans being made around these things in the past, but there's also going to be new ideas coming up around here that are going to really be more like helpful, right? And so this would bring up with usually within a period of 8 as well, right? So the next like 8 weeks or so, the next 8 days, 8 weeks, things like that, right? And if we're looking at the next like 8 weeks, you know, that would kind of put us in around this like, um, you know, the end of December, end of January, right? That would put us into this next air sign too. So it was in around that, you know, we're kind of heading into that time period. So there will be more clarity that shows up around you during that time. Um, so yeah, so this is about fantasies and it's about daydreaming, right? Um, and again, like it's this is a kind that can be connected to Neptune, right? So it's kind that can be, well, yeah, Neptune. So it's kind of talking about fantasies, daydreams, kind of being out there, right? And things that you're looking to plant the seeds for, right? And especially if there are things that are connected to school, education, things like that, right? Um, because the Hierophant card does come up connected to education, it usually represented a college, things like that, as opposed to, you know, some sort of a degree based thing, right? As opposed to like classes, training programs, things like that. But this is a card that can also bring like blessings as well. Um, it's a card that brings up things connected to like traditional kinds of things as well, right? So it is also a Taurus based card too, right? So Taurus again, like Venus, but this is a card that can bring up things that are more, we want to call it more, want to call it more like practical based things. So you know, it's talking about like not really going off, like, you know, off on like a wild journey kind of a thing, right? So there's another card that brings up things related to battle, war, things like that, right? But this is a completion of those things. It's a 9, it's a completion. So to me, this is saying that you've already been through the ringer in a lot of ways, and you know, you've already been through a lot of battles, kind of war torn, like that kind of a thing, right? And so this can be one of the reasons why you have this sort of like fear of defeat around things, right? You know, especially like financially based things, trying to get things going. And like I said, it feels like there's been, you know, when I'm looking at this, it just makes me feel like I've wanted this thing for so long. I've wanted it for so long, wanted it for so long. It's not coming, it's not coming. Why isn't it coming? And it's like, the thing is that, and you have this worry cut here, right? But it's telling me that, you know, that things are coming, right? And it's like, you know, this is a kind of about communication, and then you have the Knight of Swords, which is a card that can be connected to Gemini. Right? It's an air sign person. It has to do with things coming in like pretty quickly, like kind of rushing in, anything, and it's bringing in a very intense energy, right? And especially with the Queen of Cups underneath. it's almost like when I'm looking at this, right, it's like not really trusting what's happening with this woman, right? But then there's this information that's coming in. There's this communication happening here, right? And it's almost like there's a courier happening, right? There's somebody here who's a courier. They're bringing in some kind of information. It's really what I would call like an 11th hour save, is what it feels like, right? So, in a lot of ways, like last minute kind of rescuing of whatever it is that's happening here for you. And so again, we have this Five of Wands here. This is a card about confusion, chaos, right? A lot of kind of sorting things out, right? And it's stuff that can be happening with other people, but it may be things that are happening in your own head. And all this kind of daydreaming and looking. This is kind of about having a lot of options, right? It's this guy here, right? He's looking at all these cups. So it has to do with emotional choices, right? And so you have all these emotional choices. I've been dealing with all this stuff, right? So this is one of the reasons why things may feel stuck, right? But this is kind of talks about sorting out your priorities, right? What is it that is like good for you? What's right for you, right? And it's like you may want something like big, but you're sitting here with this fear of moving forward here. It looks to me like you're trying to start um it feels to me like there is this desire, and that would like kind of make sense with this. I was going to say it makes me feel like trying to start off like a new kind of like venture or something like that, right? And this is kind that also brings up um, education, things like that. We'll talk about the diplomas already in your hand, right? So there are these two cards here that do bring up things related to like education, things like that. And it may be something that you have already gone to school for, because these four usually represent things that are connected to the past. These four represent things connected to your future, and then these these cards here bring up things about where it is that you're at right now, right? So um so to me it's like you went to school for things, or there's been some sort of education that happened in your past, and I was like like I was doing something with this, wasn't really working out, so maybe I should do something else. um so I don't have the temperance card here like as of yet, right? But the temperance card can bring up about being patient. The temperance card um so as you talk about things, as if the card comes in my head, it usually means the spirit is trying to talk about that particular card, and it may or may not show up in the reading here, right? But when I see the temperance card, it's a card that can bring up things about mixing opportunities, right? Because the temperance card is kind of about alchemy. So it has to do with things that don't necessarily um, they're not necessarily connected, but it's like you have this option, then mix the two, and then it becomes a third thing. So there may be something that you've done in the past which could be applied to something in your future, even though it's not necessarily connected, right? So there's that. So you have Queen of Wands, right? This is about like owning your own power, and see there's new money coming up around here again, right? And then moving forward. So, and especially if you're looking at traveling somewhere, because um and so this would bring us into the next earth sign, right? Which put us into Capricorn. We're coming up on Capricorn time period. The Chariot card talks about travel, usually travel to a different state. And so there could be like looking at options here around like traveling to a different state. There can be things coming in for you connected to a different state, even if you yourself are not necessarily planning on traveling to a different state. There could be information that's coming from a different state, right? Um, maybe something where, if there's a new job coming, right? Um, because these pentacles usually brings up things about they usually bring up things connected to new jobs, new sources of money, that kind of thing, right? But even if the job is in your area, they may very well be based in a different state, right? Or there could very well be some sort of travel that's connected to the whole thing. Um, there's this newness that is connected here, right? So with the chariot card there, looking at these options running around here, right? The chariot card could also bring up things connected to some sort of a new car or something like that, especially with the Ace of Swords there. That is a Mars-based thing, right? So you may have to like get rid of a car in order to get a new car in order to do something different, right? Or some sort of it could very well be some sort of travel snafu, travel plans going awry. But like I said, with this like Knight of Swords up here, it looks like there can be like what I would call like a last minute save. So if you are trying to go somewhere or some job is being offered to you in a different place, something like that, and oh, I can't get there, blah blah blah, whatever. It's like don't give up hope because it could very well be, this to me looks like there's a last minute win, a last minute save, like something like that. So um and we do have the death card down the bottom of the deck, right? And then the bottom of the deck, well, not the bottom of the deck, but like the death card, it's another card that's connected to Mars, but also Pluto. And Pluto just changed signs. So depending upon where Pluto is in your chart, right? Pluto is a planet of transformation, right? It's kind of can bring up about power. It's kind of can bring in like financial blessings depending upon what it's doing with the rest of your chart, right? But it's kind of about transformation, which is basically what because the death card is death and rebirth, right? And so that may be one of the reasons why I was being shown the temperance card, because that is a card about it's kind of about alchemy, transformation, right? So it's the same sort of energy. So, so let's see what's going on here. So we're going to see how this is playing out for the sign of Aries, what this stuff is doing connected to the sign of Aries. Show me about Aries. What's happening for Aries? Sign of Aries. Show us all the stuff is affecting the sign of Aries. So we do have the Hangman card on the bottom of the deck, which the Hangman card can bring up about changing your perspective around things. It can talk about delays, procrastination, things like that, right? And we did say that Mars, which is a ruling planet of Aries, um, it is retrograde right now. So that could be one of the reasons why there can be delays around things as well, right? So this talks about starting a new cycle around your life, right? And Aries are the other sign that kind of initiates things, right? So this is about starting a new cycle, being open to all possibilities around your life, right? This is a card that has to do with things being connected to an attitude, right? This is another card about communication as well. This is another Mars-based card. Um, So this is a card that can bring up things about a huge kind of transformation. The Tower card is a tearing down in order to rebuild, right? It's a major reorganization going on in your life. It's a card that can bring up a change in home. It's a card that can, it's like, it's something that something that can bring it can bring a sense of like devastation, right? It's like if it were to be a breakup, it could be like a nasty kind of a breakup, right? But it's an ending, it's an ending that is meant to bring like positive things, right? Because it's like the structure of whatever it is that has been going on is no longer working, right? So it's like that structure has to be moved and then a new structure set up, right? Because it's a tower, right? The tower is coming down, right? The structure of something is coming down, but that means that there has to be a new structure that's coming, right? So this is something that is being done for you. And I was told a long, long time ago, a couple of decades ago, right, that it's like you have to get your ducks in line right now, right? Um, you have to sort things out around your life, kind of get your act together, things like that. Because if you don't, the universe is going to do it for you, right? And this is kind of shows up more in the subconscious kind of an area, right? And so it's something that like you yourself are probably going through a lot of changes internally, right? It's probably not happening outwardly yet, right? But it's probably something that is going on inside of you about you going through a lot of changes. And so that's going to create like a lot of changes on the outside, right? And so again, in saying like whatever these changes are, right? Sort things out around your life, right? And kind of pay attention to where it is that you want to go. It's all about like looking at your options around things, right? And you know, I am being told not to show, card playing jokes, right? Spirit has jokes. Um, keep your cards like close to your chest. You don't want to, so I don't know where the moon card is, but that's kind of what that's related to, right? Don't show your hand like too quickly, right? Um, and again, we're talking about trusting your instincts, right? And yeah. This is a lot of stress here around relationship oriented things. So Ten of Swords is usually but an ending, right? It's a card that does talk about it's called the Lord of Ruin. Right? So it's a card that can bring up like backstabbing kind of a thing, right? But it's a major ending of things. But it's interesting. You see his hand, right? That's called the mudra. The way his hand is the same as this guy, right? So, and we did say that this was going to bring a blessing, right? And so this is an ending, but it's a blessing in disguise. So you're not really able to see right now, right? So this is all about stress. It is a card that says like mental, emotional stress made physical. Um, so to me, it looks like you've been under all this sort of stress, and it's like looking at options about how to get out from underneath that stress, right? And how you're looking to do something new, and it is going to bring changes around your relationships, right? This is not necessarily um, this is not necessarily a change in romantic relationships, right? And this is the other thing, right? Is that this looks like it may very well be clearing the way for, I wouldn't say it's something that can be clearing the way for a relationship, like for a marriage, really, right? Um, with the chariot card here, this could bring up a destination wedding, right? Like you could very well be traveling to go to a wedding, could be going to somebody else's wedding, right? Maybe something you have to do, you may not want to do, right? And it depends on who you are, how it's like playing out, right? But the Ace of Pentacles, when it comes up around relationships, we'll talk about a marriage, right? And you do have the Two of Cups here. So that is a card that brings up love. Um, it's like there can be a lot of stress around a wedding, right? Around a marriage. But it does look like things are going to get sorted out here too, right? So that's going to end up being a good thing. See, because it says like there's victory here. We have a card about celebration. Queen of Cups again, right? A lot of emotions running high. There's a wish card, right? Completion of a cycle emotionally. The Two of Cups. King of Pentacles, right? Um, so this could be a marriage. It can also be a partnership, like a merger, right? Again, a merger, somebody that's coming from another place, right? And again, like a major reorganization here, right? So it could very well be um, the cards can be read in different ways, right? And so this is a card that can be, if there was a merger, it could be a takeover, and Ten of Swords there, right? And not really knowing what's going to happen with the whole thing. But, with Ace of Swords, it could be like fear about like heads rolling, right? And because Ace of Swords is a double-edged sword, right? So it's people coming in, and just because they're cutting people connected to management and stuff like that, if you're not in management, you may not have to worry about that. And if you are in management and you're getting cut, it could be because you've been stuck. It could be because you've been stagnant, right? It could very well be, um, like a good kind of like severance package that comes with it. Maybe if you need to take a vacation, go off somewhere, and you've been putting things off. Could very well be that, like, if you're being let go here, that um, maybe it's pushing you to be an entrepreneur, right? Um, or doing something along those lines, because the wishes here, right? And nines are completion of a cycle. Nine of Wands up there, Nine of Cups down here, right? It just says that there's a lot of stress going on here, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be stress, right? To me, it looks like there's like stress happening, but I think that you're gonna land on your feet. So whatever this is, I'm not seeing it as being a negative. I feel like it's a difficult situation going through it. Um, you know, it could definitely be rough going through it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the outcome is going to be that way. So, because like I said, like King of Pentacles sitting here, you're building new relationships around here. You're leaving things behind. And like I said, new ideas. So again, if there is this cutting that's happening, right, it's going to bring out new ideas about what it is that you're going to be doing as far as your life is concerned. So, you know, could very well be stuff that like that going on. I'm just on this thing whereby if there are endings, if you're losing your job and stuff like that because of this kind of takeover, right, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You may think it's a bad thing because it's big, but there's victory in this celebration. So like there's an attitude, even though it's a good thing. So That's what we're going to talk about for Aries right now. Okay. Who's next on the hit list? Ah, not hit list. The top 40 hit list. So we're going to look at Taurus now. See what's happening for the sign of Taurus. So what's happening for the sign of Taurus? Taurus, Taurus, Taurus. What's happening to Taurus? Okay. So Taurus, of course, money, right? Taurus is all about money, finances. It can be greedy, right? But they could also be like vain is a downside of being Taurus. If you're involved with Taurus or you're Taurus, like um, the love language is like money, right? So they're more likely to be giving you a gift rather than saying I love you, right? But they can also be very demonstrative too. So so Taurus, this is burdens, problems, responsibilities. The kind of fear of defeat, but your desire is here. It's got about commerce. But we are talking about things being on hold. So this can bring up things connected to like a vacation, maybe a 3-day weekend sort of a deal. Looks to me like you may very well need to kind of get away for something. It looks to me like you're having to be on a lot and feels like there's a lot of like I want to call it like a lot of heavy burden going on around here. Because this is a card about burdens, problems, responsibilities, right? And so when you're looking at this card, where's the camera? Um, you can see there's a house in the background, right? So this card is a lot about like reaping the rewards of the work that you have done in the past, right? This is a card that does talk about burdens, problems, responsibility, right? But there's a lot of sorting things out here going on and looking at choices around like where am I really going? Where am I really heading to? Right. And yeah, there are all these burdens here, but do I really need to be making choices? It's like, do I really need to be doing this? It's like kind of looking at your life choices, stuff like that. And you may very well be looking at going to school for something. um, or maybe you're even like in the middle of school and looking at changing your major or doing something along those lines. Because it does look like there's like some sort of, it does look like there's some sort of a change around things trying to happen here. Because this is all about like your desire, right? And there are things that are happening here that are connected to endings of some kind. So the Ace of Pentacles would talk about staying focused on what it is that you're doing, right? But it's a card that would also talk about whatever ideas are running around the back of your head, put those things into action over the course of the next 8 weeks, right? Because there are new ideas coming in around you around what it is you're trying to do here, right? And to me, it feels like there's a part of this burden that's going on here is because it's like you're doing all this work. I'm working, I'm working, I'm working, I'm working, I'm working, but I really want to be doing something else, right? And I don't really know how to get out of my own way. There's a fear of moving forward here, right? I don't know how to get out of my own way, and I don't know what it is I'm going to do. And like blah blah blah, right? This like rumination, right? That's what the Seven of Cups is about, right? Daydreaming, things like that, stuff going on around in your head, right? My desire is here, right? And again, Ten of Swords are showing up for you. So I did shuffle the cards, right? But it's showing up here again. So again, there's all this stress here, and to me, it looks like you're somebody who could be very well like a key player at your job. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting paid for that. So this looks to me like you would be looking to leave because of like a lot of like stress, right? Being you know um burnt out, right? Being run into the ground, like that kind of thing, right? And but this also makes me feel like there can be a lot of people here who are taking advantage of you too. So it looks to me like they may have promised you money, right? But there could be benefits, but it's like you're not really getting like this to me feels like you're not really getting paid and you're looking to be getting paid because your desire is here, like new money, finances, things like that. And again, potentially, um, see, like you're looking to make your mark on the world. It's not really happening here. So chariot card twice, right? So this to me looks like your desire is to be traveling someplace, going to a different state, even, right? Your desire is there, travel, leaving everything behind, cut and run thing, right? Looking at distant shores, right? Waiting for your ship to come in, right? That's what this is, right? But things being on hold for you, right? There's Five of Cups is an ending, right? It is a card that talks about emotional loss, depression, things like that, right? But it's because, first of all, I don't I don't believe in depression, right? I'm not a doctor, right? But I see it more as oppression rather than depression, right? So it's like there's all this pressure on you to kind of perform, to be in this role, to kind of do this work, blah blah, right? And it's like I don't want to do this anymore. Like I feel like I'm trapped and I got to do this and I do that and I want to do something more, something different, right? So it's like you're being like held back, right? So that's really what the loss is all about, right? But this also tells me that doesn't there's going to be an ending anyway, right? Again, we did have that Tower card, right? So it's a major reorganization that's happening on the inside of you. So and remember, we did say that it's going to be a situation where um, if you don't make the choice, the universe is going to make the choice for you, right? And so there's that, and that may be kind of the Aries, something, whatever, right? But you do have this thing here about leaving things behind, right? And your desire is there. So this looks like there's a rethinking of your desires and things like that. And to me, the Five of Cups is also a card that can bring up things about people that are passed away. Because the Five of Cups is a card that I use for like actual death, right? But a lot of times it shows up as people who are passed over who are helping you, right? And the other thing is it could be, I don't usually bring this stuff up, but it is what it is. Um, it could very well be, again, we did have the Ten of Pentacles, right? Which we did talk about legacy, right? So for you, there could very well be somebody that has passed away and they could be leaving you money. You may have to travel to a different state in order to collect that money, right? And but if there is something that passed away, it's Ten of Swords, right? A blessing in disguise. So it's definitely saying that it's definitely saying that there's some sort of an ending that is happening here that is going to trigger a positive outcome. When I'm looking at this, like this ending, this loss, it may be a couple of months before you're getting on track again, stuff like that, right? But it is something that's coming. So, because you are showing up here, King of Wands, right? It's like taking time out, trying to be in control of things. Because this is Leo energy, it's Leo Aries kind of energy, fire, Sagittarius, right? Um, but it's bringing up this like fire kind of energy about like I want to be in charge, I want to have like because King of Wands is about power, right? Like energy, power, like that kind of thing. So it's like Spirit is saying they if this is a family business, it could be somebody who's in charge that is passing away and you're being able to move into that new role, right? That has not become vacant too. So could very well be that too, right? Because we are looking at things that can be connected to an inheritance as well. So yeah, so we're looking at things like that. However it's playing out, it is talking about how there can be this like bigger kind of loss that's going to turn into something that's positive, right? Or you've been in this place of like loss, disappointment, and then it's like I just can't take it anymore. Right, right. But we are telling you not to blow things up, right? Like the Tower card, right? We don't want to blow things up. We don't want to blow things up in order to be able to like move, right? It's like make wise choices, right? Make a plan and then follow through on that plan, right? But that looks like it's going to be kind of difficult. But yeah, all right. Who's next? Next we have Gemini. Water. For the sign of Gemini. Gemini feels like they're getting their pants in a twist. In this thing about like something related to the sign of Gemini, where there was some sort of like an event that happened or some sort of a deal, and things didn't go the way they wanted to go. So now it's like, what am I going to have to do? Whatever. And feels like there's going to have to be some sort of a renegotiation happening. So we'll see what's going to go on. It's like some Geminis, right? So happening for the collective sign of Gemini, collective sign of Gemini, collective sign of Gemini, collective sign of Gemini. All right. So do have the wish card here. The Nine of Cups is also completion of a cycle on an emotional level too. So again, Tower card, tearing down in order to rebuild, major reorganization going on, right? And again, a lot of sorting things out, desires that have happened, and chaos, drama. this this could very well, like, these cards usually sit in the past, right? But so it could very well be the last Earth sign. It could very well be the time period of like September, although this card is ruled by the sign of Capricorn. So um could be a lot of thoughts related to things coming up here connected to the sign of Capricorn. I just shuffled these. The desire for home, stability. And we did say about the Ten of Pentacles, right, being related to home, um, real estate, that kind of thing, right? The Four of Wands is a card that I use for a change in home. Um, it's also kind of about stability. Some people use it for completion, right? It is the 44th card of the deck, right? To this side it is the 44th card of the deck. So four is our number of stability, right? So there is a lot of that is trying to happen here. But this makes me feel like somehow or another, like the rug might have been pulled out from under you. Like looking to make a deal somehow or another, or looking to make some sort of a commitment somehow or another, and it feels like things went awry. Because there's worry here. This is like Taurus. It's also kind of like school education, things like that, right? So if you're looking for, could very well be if you're looking for like school education to happen and then maybe didn't get into that school, could very well be about like if you're expecting your work to pay for school, something like that. It's like somehow or another things didn't go the way that you wanted them to go. Because there's loss here, right? But Queen of Wands twice, desire, home, stability. We did just come out of the Mercury retrograde too. So the way that this is telling me here is that somehow or other things didn't go according to plan, right? However, there are new ideas coming in here. There's something that is rushing in. And again, this is where for you it's going to be this 11th hour kind of a situation, right? Because that is a card that we did talk about Gemini, right? And this is Gemini cards that we're reading right now. And so with the Three of Swords here, Five of Swords, Three of Swords is a card about sorrow. It's usually sorrow due to lack of communication. So again, home, stability, things like that, right? So it would really tell you that whatever it is that you were thinking was supposed to go along, it's not really like the plan, right? Because this to me feels like that wasn't really supposed to happen, and you're really supposed to end up someplace else. So it's really like looking at that opportunity, right? And because remember we said that like when the Tower card happens, right? This is Mars energy, Five of Swords, Mars energy, and I want to see something for you. Taurus, Gemini, Here's Mars on your chart. Aries, 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 Mars. Mars is in the third house for you right now. So, and it is connected to the moon. So there's going to be like this emotional thing going on here. This is kind of, it can be difficulty related to siblings, kind of thing, but it is sitting here in opposition. Mars is sitting in opposition to like your ninth house, which is a card about education. So, it's also where the midheaven is right now and Pluto. So there's this transformation that's trying to happen here because of the and again, right, like the death card is Mars and Pluto. And Mars is being in opposition to Pluto right now. So there is going to be this kind of like difficulty that's sitting here, right? But Venus is sitting there in the ninth house too. So there's supposed to be this thing where there's a blessing that is trying to happen connected to your school education, but there's going to have to be some sort of an ending, right? Jupiter is sitting in your first house. So again, Jupiter is a greater benefic and Venus is a lesser benefic. Saturn is sitting in your 10th house, which is like work, money, finances, stuff like that, right? Neptune and like your dream thing happening here. And Saturn, so there's difficulty connected to your place of work, right? What it is that you're doing, your standing in the community, all that kind of stuff, right? And 30, 60, 19, so yeah, and it's like 50 degrees, 150 degrees away. So it's like you're not seeing the you're not seeing the blessing, even though the blessing is happening. There's like this like shock and awe happening here. There's bigger kinds of communication happening with like business partners, things like that, right? You have Jupiter. Jupiter is sitting in opposition to um, Jupiter is sitting in opposition to Mercury, which is your communication, right? So it's like you're being asked to look at like bigger kinds of communication with like business partners, things like that, which is one of the reasons why you have this like Three of Swords sitting here, right? So I'm looking at the chart right now for I'm looking at the chart right now for Gemini. So yeah, it looks like the chart is being like difficult, but it's only being difficult because it's asking you to look at like a bigger picture. I forget the word for it, but Saturn is sitting 150 degrees away from Mars. So there's this cutting here, and Saturn is saying you can't see the reason why because it's 150 degrees away. Saturn is saying it's like you can't really see the reason, or that 150 degrees away is saying that you can't see the reason why there is this thing that is ending, right? So an aversion, that's the word. Um, Saturn and Mars are in aversion with each other. Saturn is not going to let something happen that is meant to be like long term, right? So whatever it is that you're trying to do, it's not going to be good for you long term. So that's why the thing is ending, right? So this is about like how like the Three of Swords is a card that can people talk about it. Oh, it's like sorrow, right? But when you look at it, right, it's like the rain is there, right? But the rain passes, right? This is a card in this particular case. The Three of Swords is saying have faith, right? Because you're not seeing. You have this sorrow because you're not seeing the sorrow is covering the sense of stability, right? So you're not seeing how there's going to be stable, right? So you're all sad, right? It's messing you all up, right? And it's messing you all up because it's fear of defeat, right? But your desire is here, right? Your money, your finances are sitting here, right? But you're being all messed up in your head, right? Swords, swords. Wait, where are you? I thought the Ten of Swords was running around here again. But yeah. I think that if you were looking to get into school somehow, right, and that thing didn't go, there's probably going to be another opportunity that's sitting here for you that is going to actually be better, right? And there may be a delay around it. There could very well be a delay on it because maybe maybe you thought you're going to have to take out student loans, stuff like that, but maybe your work is going to end up paying for it, right? So somehow or another, this thing is working out for you, right? Because there is money that is connected to this thing. So to me, this looks like you're dodging a bullet, like in a very big way. And you're thinking that this is about escapism, right? You're thinking this is the only way, it's the only way, it's the only way. Like I have to do this. It's like you're you're putting all of your hopes and dreams on this one thing. Right, and it's not happening. Right. But it's like you can't see the other opportunity yet, right? Because it's not like in your field of vision. But soon, I would say by the time we get into the middle of January, that things are going to work out. There is going to be another opportunity that shows up here, right? And it may show up sooner than the middle of January, but by the time we get to the middle of January, things are going to be in a better. You're going to be in a better. This is a pendulum. That's what spirit is showing me, right? So it's like you're over here with all the negative, right? So it's going to start swinging over here where things are going to be more positive. So give yourself a little bit of time here, right? You're going to be okay. As I think that you're going to be talking to somebody here, right? This is the cut. You have the Eight of Wands in the middle here, right? So I think you're going to be talking to somebody that is going to give you another opportunity, right? And it's going to be an opportunity for something better. So you may very well be talking to whoever this woman is. Could be a woman, could be a man. It's showing up here as somebody who has female energy. Could be a gay man, could be like somebody who has like a lot of power, somebody who has like a lot, it could be someone who's very intuitive, right? So it doesn't have to be a gay man, but it could be a man that is very much like sometimes it can show up as somebody that has a lot of female guides as well, right? Somebody who's very intuitive. Because I'm looking at somebody that has like a lot of female connections, stuff like that. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I think that we've said what we needed to say about that. I just keep hearing you like crying in your head and being all like sobby and everything like that. So I'm trying to appease you in my head, but the Nine of Cups did just fall. So the wish is there, right? Whatever and you do have the Strength card, which is lust. It is your desire. So um, try to relax a little bit. Gemini. Who's after Gemini? Cancer. Into the sign of Cancer. Cancer. Your birthday looks like it's going to be good. The time your birthday comes here, especially the Cancerian people who were looking to move things feel like they've been stuck kind of thing, look for the right place, look in the right place. Oh, I can't find the right place. being shown the devil card. And the devil card is about self-imposed limitations and restrictions. So if you're not finding the right place, it's time to expand your search. You could very well expand your search, meaning like look at different options. Like, if you're looking at Zillow, look at like Redfin, look at like different real estate agents, stuff like that. But it could also be expand your search, meaning like expand the radius of your search. Cancer. We're just saying the Chariot card is ruled by the sign of Cancer, right? And you do have the Ace of Pentacles, which is like money, finances. This is home, real estate, stuff like that, right? So that's why I'm looking at those things for you. Showing up sign of Cancer. All right. So your strength is here. This is your desires. Strength card is like your inner strength. Let's see something here. Okay, yeah, still recording. All right. And there's the devil card right there. God. Devil card, limitations or restrictions. Right? It's like it's a kind of an addiction. Right. So if you are dealing with the disease of addiction, right, you have the Seven of Cups up there, which is a kind of about escapism. You have the Devil card here, which is about power struggles, things like that. This is a card that's related to addiction. And addiction doesn't necessarily mean drugs. Addiction could be related to sex. It could be related to gambling. Could be related to like internet. It could be, whatever it is that is your, like people call it like DOC, right? Drug of choice. Whatever your obsession of choice is, right? You're the Two of Swords here, so that is something that if you've been struggling with that, right, trying to sort things out, then that is like something that can be coming to an end, right? But it does look like there's this whole thing about like I'm trying to get to this thing, and I'm like trying, I'm fighting so hard. I'm like, addiction is anything that you're using as an escape tool, right? That is having an adverse effect on your life. So it could be causing you, it's like you're driven with your work. It's like, I have to do this work, I have to do this thing. Like, I'm doing this for you, right? It's like, no, you're doing it for you. It's because it's a fear-based thing. Right? Do I have this like trust issue here? And it's bringing up things connected to your past. So, but this is like you're walking away from things. There's a Two of Swords here. Two of Swords is kind of about trust issues. It's kind of about separation, right? And all right. So I'm looking at a couple of things here. This is about school education, stuff like that, right? The Hierophant card is a kind of about traditions, right? So could very well be arguing with like your family because they want you to be in this traditional kind of job, and you're seeing it as being too restrictive, right? And you don't want to do that, right? Or could very well be that you're wanting to do something and limiting your belief system, limiting your view. But there are trust issues that's sitting here. So this can go one of two ways. Because cards can be read like 4 or 5 different ways. This is something that can go one of two ways, right? Could very well be that could very well be that you're like getting high and everything like that and creating like problems with your family and creating a separation connected to your family, right? And escapism, stuff like that. And to a so it's kind of a separation, right? And could very well be that if you've had issues with like drugs, stuff like that, and you have already had this like separation and now you're in recovery, could be looking at options around like kind of figuring out how you're getting back with your family and choices that's coming up connected to those things. Could be things like that. Um, this also shows things that could be connected to because the pentacles are sitting here, right? So, and those usually brings up things connected to work, money, finances, right? And things is showing here that could very well be things connected to your education, stuff like that, right? And these people could very well be strict and want you to follow this. They're looking for like traditions. They're talking about practical kinds of jobs, stuff like that. And you're like, I don't want to do that. I have this other thing, right? I have these desires, right? Um, I have these desires. And because this is power struggles, right? So you really want to do what it is you want to do and trying to figure out how you're going to do it, right? This trust issues come to the past. So this is you trying to like put all of your energy and just self-focus, right? Self-imposed limitations. I'm just putting all of my desires and energy, effort, and like struggling against these people and their rules and whatever. Right? And I'm gonna try to make this thing like happen and stuff like that. Right? And it could work out well, right? The other thing is that this could also be if you're causing your own pain, they're trying to help you. And because you're involved in like drugs and stuff like that, getting high, sabotaging your life, so you don't want to follow the rules. So you're going to figure out, because what this is really saying is that you are sorting things out around your life to figure out how to make things better for you because there's a new beginning here, right? This is you walking away from the difficulties, right? That's what this is, right? The Knight of Cups is how you're moving forward onto a better emotional path, right? And things are being positive here, looking at things that are connected to the past, right? So there's been this separation here from people connected to your past and and like I said, there's this healing that's trying to happen here. Right? There's the emotions that are coming up here connected to people from your past, right? Queen of Pentacles puts us into Capricorn time period. And the magician says that you have all the tools that you require. So with the chariot card here, if you've been at a distance from people, right? Two of Swords, separation. If you've been at a distance from people, whether the distance is a physical distance, out of state, stuff like that, or somehow or another, this is telling me that there has been some kind of separation, or there's trying to be some sort of separation, right? I'm not necessarily getting this separation as being a good thing. Feels like it feels like there's a healing that is trying to happen here where relationships are trying to come online and be in a favorable spotlight. The magician would say not to try to manipulate things, right? And says you have all the tools that you require to kind of walk away from whatever, like if there has been a manipulator running around you, the downside of magician is manipulation, right? And but the magician says that you have all the tools that you require to get things done, right? So it is kind of a manifestation. But this looks like there's a healing that is trying to take place here. And the healing is something that is going to be emotional, but it could also be a healing in the way of like money, finances, stuff like that, right? Like if you had been missing opportunities, things like that, struggling, like I don't want to do that, I don't want to do that. Right? It's like, but then you're going to give it a try, something like that, whatever. There's a new path that is starting here for you. That's what it's like telling me. You have two aces here. So this is an entrepreneurial based thing, right? There's all this like struggle here, power struggles, new beginnings, right? Be your own person, right? Especially if these things are involving like a healing activity, right? So whether you're getting clean, 12-step program, that's like healing, whether you're um, involved in healing somehow or another, if you're involved in like Reiki, if you're starting a practice in Reiki, right, like Reiki level 1, something like that, or if you're involved with like magic somehow or another. Um, Not seeing something along the lines of like therapy, stuff like that. Um, Whatever it is, it has an emotional component to it. But you are being put into a position of quote unquote power, right? And when I'm saying this thing about being in a position of power, I'm not really talking about being like a CEO of a company, right? I'm talking about you being in a position of power where you're going to be able to like take care of yourself. Like housing is going to be okay, food is going to be okay, right? Because this makes me feel like there's been a lot of drama going on and not really sure where things are going to come from, right? And just like it just feels like there's been a lot of chaos going on around here. And separation doesn't have to be like physical separation, it can be emotional separation. So can be separation connected to distance, can be separation connected to emotions. Separation could very well be like if you've been like making yourself crazy, looking for like work and money, and I gotta work and I gotta work and I gotta work, or whatever your addiction is, right? Because your job could very well be addiction, right? And you could very well be married, right? But like not really being happily married because I gotta do all this work, I gotta do all this work, I'm doing this work for you, right? It's like it feels very Taurian to me, but um, Cancer is about um Cancer is about their emotions. So that's what we're looking at here. So anyway, that's what I can say about that. Okay. After the sign of Cancer, Leo. The sign of Leo. Fourth Leo is sitting right in the middle of the spread. All right. What's happening for the sign of Leo? What's happening, Leo? It's interesting because the strength card has been coming up a lot, and the strength card is connected to the sign of Leo. So, Leo, you have the Six of Cups down the bottom. So this is a card that's related to friendships. It's connected to the past. So this is a lot of angst going on here. Again, it's a card that's it's. I don't think Leo is somebody that has to kind of get out of their own way, right? But the Two of Wands is a card that is about exploration, right? Somebody who's sitting in their castle, right? Leo tends to be all about themselves. Yeah, the sun, they can be very charismatic, right? So everything kind of revolves around them. They're sitting in their castle here, right? And looking to go out, explore, like they've been looking over their realm, whatever. And it's like they're looking at going out and exploring. This is a kind that can bring up international travel. They do have the world in their hands, right? And you do have the chariot card here. So that is a kind that can be kind of travel. When I see the world card, it's usually international travel. Um, this is about delays around things in general. This is about education again. Right. Again, it's interesting. Hierophant card twice, Ace of Pentacles twice, Seven of Swords. Yeah. It says that there are two different opportunities being presented to you, and I want to say whatever it is, and see there's this card here, Five of Wands twice. So there's a lot of sorting things out here, right? And so whatever it is that's happening with you right now, right? It does say that there can be opportunities that are trying to happen for you, but the Four of Pentacles will talk about trying to hold on to your money and finances for right now, right? And I'm just going to say, if you are in New York, because this is a New York skyline, so I'm just bringing that up, right? If you are in New York, then it could be like a lot of chaos around you. And if you're not in New York, I would say don't go there. Ten of Pentacles twice. Okay, Leo. King of Pentacles, Leo. Queen of Pentacles, Leo. Divine counterparts, as they say. I feel like you're sitting here and you're trying to rise above everything, right? It's like nothing is touching me. I'm like sitting on my perch kind of deal. And this to me looks like you're putting a lot of energy into like your money, finances, and whatever it is that you're, you know, whatever your Ten of Pentacles is about. Could be real estate, could be like your home, like stuff like that. Um, could be like your business, stuff like that. But definitely has this energy about this like whole like daydream kind of a thing, right? And it's like looking at options around like money, finances. This is kind of we're talking about business opportunities being presented to you that's kind of putting you into this place of like power too, right? So but you're sitting here with this nine of wands up here. So you're sitting here with this like completion of a cycle around things. And I do feel like there's gonna try to be some sort of like big financial thing that happens here, expenditure, I would say. Normally these pentacles will talk about money coming in, but to me it looks like you've been trying to save money. But I feel like you've been trying to save money to make some sort of a big, what I would call it as like some sort of a big acquisition, right? See what's happening here with Leo. Cancer, 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 Leo. Leo, Mars in the first house. So something about you that you're trying to give up things, um, other people's money. There's a lot here that's connected to like other people, and there's an opposition. So, all right. So this looks like there's some sort of, it's almost like there's some sort of, I want to call it like some sort of a difficulty here that is related to other people and whatever their business dealings, whatever your partnerships are about, right? And technically, this would normally be um, it would normally be related to your husband, wives, your like your relationships like that, right? Um, but this looks like there's some sort of like transformation that's happening around those relationships anyway. And you do have the moon that's sitting in the first house. So there's like this like emotional contemplation while on here. The moon can be connected to like money finances, but it's usually more related to like your emotional state, right? You have Jupiter, the 11th house, which is about um it can be it's good like financial house. And for you it is ruled by Gemini, so that can be connected to other people as well. So yeah. See, there's supposed to be some sort of a positive things that's trying to happen here. Communication, like you may have to get there. To me, it looks like there are people from your past that you have separated from. And so even though there has been this separation that has gone on, there can be some sort of what I want to call there can be some sort of a renewal around those relationships. And because there's a renewal around them, it is a kind of like transformation that's happening here. Because you have Mercury like trining Mars. So and Mars is before the ascendant. So to me, it's like there has already been some sort of separation that has already happened. And it's something that could very well have happened 8 months ago, could be 8 years ago, something like that. Um, but apparently it's been a little while. So 13, 13 to 27. That's like could be the next like 14 days, 14 weeks, probably like sooner rather than later. The next like 14 days, 14 weeks, something like that. I think it's probably within the next like 14 days, more likely. But there's a trine sitting there. So there's trying to be some sort of like a positive thing that's trying to happen here. But again, positive things are trying to happen for you, but it's saying that there is some sort of difficulty that is going on. And the difficulty is because Saturn is sitting here. And Saturn isn't really letting anything happen. Saturn is in the house, is in the eighth house, which is usually like transformation, things like that. And it is connected to other people's money, other people's resources, stuff like that, like shared resources, whatever. And so it's really telling you that Saturn is saying that it's not letting things happen unless things are going to work out long term, right? So like I said, there's a lot of sorting things out right now, and it's like trying to put energy into looks like trying to put energy into like money, finances, things like that, looking to put yourself into positions of power, stuff like that, right? You have the fear of moving forward here, holding on to old ideas, thinking that everything is going to be the same as it has always been, right? And but you are sitting here trying to move forward. I want to say especially financially, but I think that this is related to, it looks like it's probably related to your relationship more than anything else. But I think this is also bringing up things that are connected to your work relationships, right? The people who you're connected to and not wanting to say that you're connected to them. Because I see this thing like you're sitting here and you're kind of in your perch and sort of being in denial, sort of ignoring all these other people. And like, I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to deal with them. They're very chaotic, right? And I don't want to deal with them. Chaos and chaos. And I don't really want to deal with them, but you really have to deal with them, right? You're going to have to sort things out with these people, right? Whether these are people in your family, whether it's a family business, whether it's like, it looks to me like it's people that you don't really want to be close to, but you have to deal with them anyway, whether they're your family or workmates or something like that, right? Um, Whether they're working for you or above you, something, whatever. There's a lot of money that is connected to this thing. There's money connected to this situation. So it's like you are going to have to make a decision about what you're going to do with it and then move forward from there. So that's what I'm going to tell you about that. Because it's only going to help you because you're sitting here, you're trying to put things behind you anyway, right? So it's almost like you have to deal with it in order to be able to move forward, right? Because there's only going to be positive things that come up from you, right? This up here, right? There's only going to be positive things that come your way once you deal with it, right? But because it's like you're dealing with some problem that you don't really want to deal with, and you're going to have to resolve it because you have the Eight of Cups up there, right? So it's like illusion and escapism and all of that. But it's almost like you're the only one that has the power to resolve it. So that's what that is. All right. what's happening with Virgo? Virgo. What's happening with Virgo? Queen of Wands at the bottom, Queen of Wands in the middle. This is about making decisions that overwhelm you. It's worry about money and finances. Queen of Swords says to be clear about what it is that you want. Queen of Swords is connected to the goddess Athena, which she is a goddess of war, but she's about strategy more than like the actual war. She's on Apollo. But I think that she's doing double duty here with the fire and the mind. There's like sorrow, high priestess. So Virgo, you're sitting here being very mercurial, swords, swords, and swords. You're sitting here being very mercurial, and the Queen of Swords is about like kind of she has to do with like getting rid of old ways, right? Old things that no longer work for her, stuff like that. Um, Getting rid of like traditions, and in the Crowley deck, she's holding an old man's head, right? But the old man's head has to do with things from the past, like things that have worn out, things that are like, you know, things that are no longer serving her, basically. Right. So finding ways to gather your strength, right? Worry here about legal things, right? It's not, this isn't the justice card, but um, so the King of Swords is about like he's sitting here with the Queen, right? So divine counterpart. So it's like somebody who's very much about like the truth and honor and things like that. He's powerful, but he's powerful connected to the mind. So his mind is very clear, and he's the only king that looks forward. So there's a sense of honesty about him, right? But he can be like a cop. He can be somebody that has like some sort of a legal background somehow or another, whether it's with contracts, things like that, right? Um, but he's somebody that has like really like clarity of mind and whatever it is that's going on around here, right? The moon would talk about like some sort of um, things that are hidden, right? And so he's looking to kind of cut through the lies and deceit and things like that, right? Three of Swords like sorrow, right? But there's like the sun is here. So things are hidden, the moon, things are hidden, it's the nighttime, and then the sun is coming, right? So there is going to be clarity connected to the sorrow, right? And the Three of Swords to me is a card that can come connected to um, the Three of Swords is a card for me that can come connected to Mercury retrograde, which we are just coming out of. I think it was Monday or something like that. So there is money that is going to be spent here, but in a lot of ways, um, there can be money that's coming in around here too. So this would put us into Pisces time period. Pisces is the end of February to the end of March. So let's see what's happening with Virgo. All right. So for Virgo, it looks like you have Mars in your 12th house. So that's like hidden enemies, things like that. And some sort of transformation connected to whatever you're doing as far as your daily work, stuff like that. And Venus is sitting there. So it can be some sort of like power trip coming up, like in a positive way, that's connected to whatever you're doing with your work anyway. And Jupiter is up in the 10th house where the midheaven is. So there's supposed to be some sort of luck or um, some sort of luck that's connected to your midheaven, so your career opportunities, things like that. Um, but it also shows that there's some sort of opposition here, fourth house, like money, finances, stuff like that. I mean, like home, fourth house is home, family history, stuff like that. Um, so Mercury just went direct in the fourth house. So communication related to home, related to mother, related to things like that. Sun is down there, talking to like solar figures, fathers, like stuff like that, or male energy. But there's supposed to be some sort of like luck that's happening here. But it's like there's some sort of opposition that's happening. Somehow or another, even though it is some sort of opposition, it feels to me like you're asking for something and it looks to me like you're asking for something and it's something that you can get, but it may come in a way that you're not really happy about because it's like you want to negotiate how you want to negotiate the terms, but I don't think that you're really going to I don't think you're really going to be able to negotiate the terms. But it's weird because I think you're going to get what you're looking for anyway. So it just, to me, it just feels like there's some sort of, it's interesting because Uranus is sitting over there, but Uranus isn't showing as being connected to this. But it still feels to me like there's some sort of a surprise that is happening here. So this chart looks like things are moving in a good direction. I just don't think you're expecting things to move in a good direction, really, Virgo. Um, it's very strange. I'm a Virgo too, so I really understand that. For you, I feel you, right? The, 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 I think that, like Virgo, I think that we're used to things being like messed up for us, and or we're used to things being difficult, right? Because I think that we have trouble getting out of our own way, right? And and this is why we have the sorrow card sitting here. This is why you have the worry about money, finances thing, right? So it's really just saying be clear. Again, the moon card, you're not being able to see what's coming, right? But the Queen of Swords says get rid of the old ideas, right? Strategy, right? And and it's interesting. Um, like I don't know what's going on with the rest of you, right? but I have a lot of things in boxes, and I'm going through all the boxes that I have, and I'm doing this whole purge. And for me, it feels like whatever this purge is like I'm letting go of all these like things that I've been holding on to, right? And I have a feeling that that is, I think that that's a lot about what it is that we're talking about here, right? Like with the Queen of Swords, right? Be clear about what you want, but also strategically kind of like getting rid of things, right? And doesn't necessarily getting rid of what, right? But this is the six of, where are we here? The, we're up here. What's my, so this is about giving things away, right? It kind of talks about gratitude, right? Alms for the poor, basically, right? The scales of justice are there, right? And he's connected to legal things as well, right? And so this is a card that's about like kind of it's gratitude. So it is about getting rid of things that you may consider like small things. Um, but again, it's like getting rid of things that you no longer like need anymore, right? But spirit is guiding you in the right direction with all of this. So there's a lot that comes up here that is connected to, I want to call it like trusting your instincts, right? Trusting your heart. And like I said, this doesn't feel like you want to. It feels to me like you wanting to do whatever it is you want to do. And I feel like the universe is causing you to take a different action, and you don't necessarily want to take that other action, but it is something that they call the easier, softer way. Like, so Spirit's telling me it's like you really need to be easy on yourself right now, because it does feel like it's been a difficult time for you for whatever reason. And that may very well be, people have thought that it was probably like the Mercury retrograde, but I think that this is connected to Mars retrograde being in the 12th house. So it's in the sign of Leo, which is connected to the sun. Sun is in Sagittarius, which can be bring up things. Well, it depends on where it is in your chart, but if you're like Virgo rising, it's putting it in the fourth house. So that is like cutting away things that have to do with your home, especially cutting away things. It's connected to the moon. Mars is sitting there connected to the moon, like 10 degree separation there. So it's a loose kind of an orb, as they would say, right? But it's sitting there being in a lot of ways like a little bit of like an opposition there. It's a loose opposition to like Venus, which is about like, money, finances, stuff like that, beauty, things that, and but it's the moon. So it's this thing that's talking about like an emotional attachment to your possessions. So, and Mars is sitting there, which is talking about the cutting, right? Things that you no longer, things that have been hidden for you, right? And for me, it's like these things have been in a box. They say that if you haven't used it in a year to get rid of it, right? So it's like getting things that you don't see as being useful anymore, things that you're not like, um, things. It's really about things that you no longer have emotional attachment to that are hanging around. So whether those are people, whether it is your work, whatever it is, right? It's like you're getting rid of things that you no longer have an attachment to, right? And the moon card here is very much that, right? The moon is connected to Mars. Right? They're both in the 11th house. So um, the Mars is the cutting, the moon is the emotional attachment, both sitting in opposition to Venus and Pluto. So Pluto is a whole transformation thing happening here around like your work, your job, stuff like that, your daily chores. Venus is connected to your money, your finances, right? But it's about, it's weird because 69 to 120. It's 120 degrees um, from the second house. So, it could very well be like possession type things. 69 to 120. But it's definitely a trine connected to like your work, your money, your finances. So there's definitely like some sort of a trine that's happening connected to like your career, your work, all that kind of stuff. So, but I do think that there's something about getting rid of things that you have an emotional attachment to because the moon is sitting there with Mars and Mars is sitting there being retrograde. So, or has been retrograde. I don't know when it's going direct. This says that it's direct, but I thought it was going retrograde. So anyway, like I said, it's getting rid of things that they no longer serve you, that are no longer have this emotional attachment to them. So one chart I looked at says that Mars is not retrograde. Astro.com says that it is. So, and Jupiter is retrograde. So Jupiter is sitting in the midheaven. So it's kind of like a redoing, a rethinking, delays around stuff that has to do with your career, stuff like that. So things are going to take place. It's just, I think that you probably had to wait for Mercury to go direct. So then from there, it'll start moving forward, which we just got into Mercury direct anyway. So, okay. What's happening with Libra? What's happening with sign of Libra? Strength card again. What was that? That card keeps showing up. Libra. This is communication. This is Libra here. So this is going to have to do with relationship things. It can have to do with legal things. The Justice card is related to law. Um, but it is ruled by this sign of Libra. So it is about partnerships as well. But things trying to be stable here as well. So you could end up having some sort of legal things that are connected to your home as well, especially if you're looking to like own a home. If you've been trying to sort things out here connected to your home, like trying to look at money and look at deals, stuff like that, your goals, dreams, aspirations are sitting here. and there's your wish. So there's an attitude here because there's been a lot of chaos. There's been a lot of stuff going on up and around your head, a lot of escapism, stuff like that, right? And but the sun is here, so there is a healing that is taking place around all of this stuff, right? It's kind of like with the sun sitting here, right? It would be, especially in the past, it would say that it's like you know what it is that you want, right? And it's kind of like you have the power to get it, but there's an attitude thing here, mainly because it feels to me like you're not really seeing what it is that you're looking for, even though you know what you want. Right? The Devil card, power struggle, limitations and restrictions. Again, knowing what you want, can't see it. Right? The High Priestess would say that she's leading you in the right direction, right? Especially Queen of Wands up there. There is a sense of magic here. There is a sense of power that's coming through your intuition. Um, are you looking to change your job somehow or another? Again, we have this like gratitude thing here. Goals, dreams, aspirations. If you are looking to change where it is that you live, it may be something that like your goals are here, right? But it may be something where you might have to fix something a little bit. It doesn't have to be something big, but you may have to spend a little bit of money that you don't necessarily want to spend. But it does look like you're going to be able to get what it is that you want. But to me, it looks like you're looking for things to be perfect. And I don't necessarily know that this is whatever this is going to be about for you. It doesn't feel to me like it's going to be like a perfect solution. It looks to me like you're going to have to give a little bit in order to get, I wouldn't say in order to get all the marbles, right? But your wish is here, right? And it's kind of funny because this is about escapism and fantasy, stuff like that, and it's showing up over here. So, and this is interesting because when I'm looking at this, you have the chariot card, right? So the chariot card would constitute a move, right? And so technically it can be like travel, right? So you may be thinking that you might have to like travel a little bit in order to get to be where you want to go because you may not have seen it locally, but you may not have seen like if this is about a house, right? It's like you're thinking that you have to travel way over here, right? But because you haven't seen it more locally within a more reasonable distance. So if you're thinking maybe you have to travel 20, 25 miles and because you haven't seen it within like 5 or 10, but I think it's just that the opportunity hasn't shown up within like 5 or 10. But I think that that's like something that's coming. So I am being told here to kind of like bide your time, right? Stop aggravating yourself, right? Because the Devil card is self-imposed limitations and restrictions. There's a lot of chaos that's going on here, right? Because there's a lot of obsession that's happening around here, right? But the sun connected to the devil really also means that um, it also means that there's also healing that is taking place. So if you have been dealing with the disease of addiction and escapism, whatever that is, whether it's like drinking, whether it's drugs, whether it is like, like you're married to your job thing, whatever it is, right? There's clarity, there's healing. Spirit is coming in and basically like taking care of you, right? There is a sense of stability that's going on here. Like that kind of thing is happening as well, right? Um, because there's new physical beginnings, which can be about your own physical body too. It can be Ace of Pentacles can be related to new money, things like that. But this also looks like there can be things where your own like health, your own physical health is getting into better shape as well. So because that is taking place too, because with the Seven of Cups running around here, um, what is the word? Um, begins with a D. Um, Degradation, dereliction. Dereliction means that there's this not taking care of yourself, like willingly, like avoiding taking care of yourself. So, especially if you've been kind of obsessed with like either doing a particular project, like playing video games online, whatever, and can't get out of your own way, whatever the addiction is, whatever the escapism is, right? It would imply that somehow or another, not for everybody, but for some people, this is a general kind of a reading, right? Um, so, but this is talking about how somehow or another you are looking at ways to be able to take care of yourself. Maybe you're doing a makeover, maybe you're doing cutting your hair or something like that, right? Um, maybe you're getting your teeth fixed. But it implies that there's a particular part of your body that you're going to be paying attention to now. So to me, this looks like there has been a little bit of, to me, this feels like there has been a little bit of like self-obsession going on. And so now it's like getting out of your own way, and it's going to imply about like helping other people somehow as well. So I think that's going to be part of this. So that's what we're going to talk about for Libra. Who's after Libra? Scorpio. Scorpio, Scorpio, Scorpio. 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 Yeah, this communication. This is the fear of moving forward. Oh, fear of failure. There's new ideas and also victory. New ideas here that go on related to money and finances. But there can also be new money that comes up here within the sign of Aquarius, which would put us into the end, again, the end of January to the end of February. So there's going to be some major decisions that are going on here about how you're moving forward, right? And also, Um, things to be moving forward here also that are connected to like jobs, money, finances, stuff like that, right? Scorpio is ruled by the sign of Aries, is ruled by the sign of Mars rather, and Queen of Wands is also Mars. So it's like thinking about how you're trying to hold on to your money, trying to sort things out here, looking at options around what you're doing with your money and finances. But this is a fear of moving forward, holding on to old ideas, thinking everything is going to be the same as it has always been, right? Because there's worry about money. So whatever it is that's happening, Scorpio, it's like you've been in this place where it's like trying to hold on to your money and like fear that money is like leaking, going away somehow, right? Fear of failure. Um, but you're also moving forward here, right? So this is not this is not staying put, right? Um, because within a period of 7, this thing is being straightened out. So because there is a new beginning here, right? We have the Ace of Wands, we have Ace of Wands, Ace of Swords, Ace of Pentacles. So there's all these new beginnings here that are um, trying to start, right? So you do have the Page of Wands up there. We just talk about looking at options around things, but I also think that there's like somebody else around here that is also trying to help you. So whether that person is a Cancer, um, I don't know. I just feel like there's like this thing here that has to do with somebody here is trying to help you. And I was like, this says a man, but um, I was thinking that it's a woman. It does show you as being very focused on what it is that you're trying to do, but I think there is going to be some sort of a new beginning here that's trying to help you. Um, with the Eight of Pentacles here, I feel like you've been trying to focus on something else that you want to do, whether it's a different project or something like that. But once the money stabilizes, then it will be like all the lights are green then. So I do think that there's some sort of a different, either a different project happening around here, or um, I don't know. It feels like there's some sort of a financial snafu, is what the energy is telling me. Um, but I think that this financial snafu has to be straightened out. And then if you are looking for a different job here, then once that thing is straightened out, then there can also be different job opportunities that are sitting here being presented to you, because the Nine of Wands up there is completion of a cycle. So, and right now you're sitting here and you're being afraid of making a mistake. So, um, but the Ace of Wands is an entrepreneurial based card. It also has to do with some sort of a new beginning. You're just sitting here with this like fear of defeat thing. I don't know if this is something where you wanted to take a class, because there's a couple of cards here that have to do with education. So I don't know if this is going to be, for some of you, it may be related to you taking a class. For some of you, it can be about teaching a class, especially if there's going to be some sort of diploma thing involved. We're not at Capricorn people yet. I was looking at this thing that has to do with like Capricorn in some sort of a new vehicle, but I don't know if that's related to you. I think it may be related to Capricorn people themselves. But it's coming up in your reading, so I wouldn't be surprised if in the sign of Capricorn, which is the end of December to the end of January, I wouldn't be surprised if some of you are looking at getting a different car. Whether it is a different car or whether it's like you're fixing your car and make it be like new. Because there's a newness that's related to a vehicle. So there's a new vehicle sitting here. There's a new path, which I think is like a financial path. Because the Ace of Pentacles does bring up new jobs, stuff like that. But I think a lot of it comes up connected to the next Earth sign, which would put us into Capricorn. So there's a lot of stuff like that that is trying to happen around here. The other thing is that, I think for you in particular, Scorpio, I think that there has been a lot of the Five of Wands sitting over there. I think there has been a lot of chaos going around here, and not really wanting to deal with the chaos because the Seven of Cups is up there. So that's a lot about like escapism, stuff like that. And but this also looks like coming back into kind of reality thing because I think that things are becoming safe, which is weird word. It's a weird way of putting it. Because the Seven of Cups is telling me about dissociation. That's why. So this thing that has to do with like dissociating. I don't think it's really like denial, but it does feel like I don't want to deal with any of this stuff. So I'm just like not. But I think that things are going to help like balance themselves out. So then I think you're going to be more comfortable being in your body. And then it's like kind of hitting the ground running because you're more in your body, you're going to be able to have more traction. So if you're not having traction in your life right now, it's because you're not in your physical body. You're out there astral projecting or somewhere like that, or dissociating, however it is you want to call any of that. So I do think that things are going to get a little bit better here. I want to say by the time we get to the third week of January. So um, I think going to start. I think you're probably going to start seeing things move forward once we get into the time period of like Christmas or so. But by the time we get to the end of January, I think that there will be traction that's starting to happen around your life by then. So, great. Well, we're going to look at Capricorn and see what's happening with you. Happening, Capricorn. Okay. Capricorn, you're starting a new cycle around your life, which makes sense. The Fool usually comes up when it's the time period of somebody's birthday. So it makes sense that that's happening. This is about making decisions that overwhelm you. You're being tied to your thoughts in a lot of ways, trying to step out. It's not about getting out of your own way around here. We're doing a lot of heavy lifting. Um, this is a lot about like kind of reaping all the work that you've been doing. This is about like this card is related to reaping a harvest, right? but it is about like burdens, problems, responsibilities too, right? So been putting a lot of work into having your ship come in, and there's your wish. There's something that goes on here about um, you yourself getting some sort of a glow up, I want to call it. Like it's almost like you're promoting yourself somehow or another. Um, it's very weird. This is your money and finances, making decisions overwhelm you, things connected to your money, financial security, right? And to me, it's like you've been in two different places. So I don't know, this is like something where you've had like your regular job and a main job, right? But now the Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands here would indicate one job. So very entrepreneurial based thing. And there's money associated with this whole deal, right? There's a fear of failure, but it really just means that the structure of whatever it is that you're doing is trying to change, right? This card is over the sign of Saturn. So um, this also looks like you could very well be getting rid of three people out of your past as well. I don't know why three, but three is sitting right there. And this is your wish. Nine of Cups is also completion of an emotional cycle as well. It's interesting because you have the Queen of Cups. And the Queen of Cups is like an emotionally based person. And Capricorns are not usually like based on their emotions. They're usually based on their money and finances and their thoughts. So you could very well be being connected to somebody from your past as far as like school education, something like that is concerned. Could be something that you were doing in your past connected to school education coming back around you again. Um, could very well be if you got like an associate's degree, now getting a master's degree or something like that, getting a PhD, some of that because that's what moving up a level somehow or another. Um, but this makes me feel like there's some sort of which is very interesting to me. It feels like there's some sort of honor or award that is connected to whatever your education is about. But it's weird because it feels like it's something that happened before coming back in the present. So I don't know if this is an award that you already got or whatever school it is that went to before is bringing some sort of an award. But I don't know. That's interesting to me. I'm not sure how that's playing out. Just what I'm looking at. I don't know. I keep in this thing about a promotion though. This could work out if you are working at a school or still associated with a school somehow or another. Um, let's see, Capricorn. Yeah, I just keep getting this thing. This is about financial security, right? And you're sitting here being tied to your thoughts, right? But there's a lot of sorting things out around your life. So to me, this has a lot to do with how it has to do with how you've been putting all of this work into. I want to say it has a lot to do with putting a lot of work into your job, your school, all this kind of stuff. I do think that whatever it is that you have learned, it definitely has been useful for you, but this makes me feel like you're trying to go up a level in terms of your work. So I don't know if you're necessarily going back to school. I think some of you may very well be going back to school. But other people, I think they're still moving up a level, but um, I feel like those people, they've been at their job for a little while. So they have quote unquote life experience in the job. And so they're able to move up that way as well. Um, but some of you people, I feel like you're in these jobs where you're not allowed to go ahead until you have some sort of a degree. I think that's one of the reasons why this kind of award and going back to school somehow or another is sitting there. So I'm told that some of you could very well be getting like an honorary award, right? So something like that. But this is just bringing up things about your desires, your wishes, and your emotional connection to things related to your past as far as like, your money, finances, stuff like that is concerned. Some of you, there could be somebody that's coming up here from your past, from where it is that you live. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, although you may not necessarily want that to be happening. Because you have this thing, the Eight of Swords here, and a lot of chaos connected to your past as well. So you're trying to have a new name for yourself, a new life, and stuff like that. You have these Ace of Pentacles. So um, you've been doing all this work to kind of move ahead, to be your own person, to be like different, whatever, whatever. So it's like not really looking to be like dragged backwards in time. So even though I'm not necessarily seeing as somebody from your past coming around you as being bad, that doesn't necessarily mean that you want that. So, all right. I don't know that I did Sagittarius. What's happening with Sagittarius? Sagittarius. Your beginnings. This is your goals, dreams, aspirations. Completion of a cycle, a battle, moving forward. This is interesting, Sagittarius, because you have this Ace of Wands here, right? Which would usually talk about a new beginning. Some that can talk about a baby. Some can talk about like a new relationship kind of a thing. But to me, this feels like you've been reinventing yourself. And it's like your goals, dreams, aspirations are here, but it's like there's this whole sort of an attitude going on. And because it's been difficult. Yeah. Sagittarius, 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 Sagittarius. Um, this feels to me, Sagittarius, like there's been a lot of kind of like escapism kind of a thing. And to me, it feels like you've been trying to pretend that you've been being a different person, right? Denial somehow or another. And but I do feel like there's a situation here where like your past is catching up with you. The Six of Cups is a kind that's related to your past. And it feels to me like your past is kind of catching up to you. And it's going to be time to put your money where your mouth is. But I think this is why you've been doing this whole escapism thing. I think that for some of you, it's like you've kind of either moved away or kind of separated yourself from people. And flying beneath the radar kind of a situation. And now it's like being time to kind of be above the radar. But your world is definitely in the process of changing here. There's a completion of a cycle here, right? Like, because the Nine of Wands is like the ending of a battle, and the Tower card is how there's a reorganization, but things are becoming real, and you have to be clear about what it is that you want and how you're doing it and everything like that. Because this is about moving forward, right? It's about moving money emotions behind you, right? But it's like you are being guided forward here, and there could very well be some sort of like a legal process here, which is interesting because I just had this thing in my head about is weird, something to do about somebody being witness protection too. So will be somebody from your past either being in trouble or you have to help them somehow or another, or they're seeing you, whatever it is, right? But somehow or another, there's been a separation from people from your past, and now it's like coming back around, whoever the people are. So that's not something that you get in a reading very often, but just kind of putting it out there. But I just have this thing about like Sagittarius being aloof, and I don't know if Sagittarians in general are aloof people, but um, I do know a few of them, just trying to think off the top of my head, and they do come across as being aloof. This just makes me feel like I feel like you've been sort of on this path here, this internal path here, about trying to raise your vibration and acting like you're doing the work to get that done. but I think that it's been superficial. I think you've been doing work on the outside, not so much on the inside. But now I feel like you're being called to do work on the inside because it's like you're being ready to move up a level, like spiritually, but the inside is needing some sort of, this is the Tower card over here, and you are being asked to look at yourself on the inside and see what it is that's going on in there, and then make adjustments accordingly. Because the King of Swords is sitting here. The King of Swords is about honesty. He's the only king that looks forward. So you're asked to present like some sort of like, I want to call it like being asked to present some sort of like an honest view about something here. And but this definitely looks like there can be some sort of, and again, the King of Swords doesn't necessarily bring up things connected to law, but I do think that there can be a legal situation. And even though you don't have the Wheel of Fortune here, you do have the Tower. So I think that there was a sense of solidity, a sense of groundedness, but this is Mars, and so Mars is going to like um, snip and cut things, and there's going to have to be some sort of a sense of the King of Swords is telling me that there's going to have to be some sort of a sense of integrity if you're looking to be able to move forward here, because that's what this is about, right? Especially Chariot card is sitting there. And again, you have these people that look like they're coming in from the past and they can come in very fast. It's like, it looks to me like your world is trying to change like in a very quick way. And you may not necessarily like the way that it's changing, but it's changing so that you can have a sense of groundedness, so that you can have a sense of stability, so that you can have a sense of integrity, rather than just saying that you're honest and loyal and have integrity. There's just like a lot of change that's trying to happen here on your inside. So, and I will say this, that I don't see the Ten of Swords, right? But I am getting something where some of you may be getting some sort of like I want to call it like minor surgery or some sort of surgery anyway. Um, because this is stuff that's connected to your inside and a readjustment of things happening on your inside. So I think that for some of you, this could be um, a very real, like physical thing as opposed to like an analogy. So that's what I'm going to say about that. Yeah. So we'll see what's going to happen. All right. What's happening for the sign of Aquarius? Sorry. Aquarius is a very creative time for you. Well, that's interesting. Okay. So the Empress card is here. These of Wands is here. Six of Cups is here. So first and foremost, this screams like motherhood, like babies, stuff like that. And it could be a renewal of a relationship with like your kids as well, especially if whoever they are, if they've moved away somewhere. The other thing is that if you have been thinking about kids, trying to have kids, sorting things out, chaos, escapism, right? If you've been fantasizing, thinking about kids, like stuff like that, right? That could be like coming into play around here as well. Um, I will say this as well. Like, all right. So I don't have the Five of Cups here, right? But if I am looking at this as far as pregnancy is concerned, there's a new beginning here. Something connected to the past, right? So, if you lost a child, which I don't know why people say lost, but um, some people say if you believe in God, then they're not lost. Whatever. Um, but if you lost a child and you're now getting pregnant, this could very well be the soul that you lost that is coming into the one that's pregnant now, right? This can also be an indication about becoming a grandmother as well. So, because it's mother of like one of your kids. So, especially if the son, especially if it's a son, whether it is your son, and his wife that's having a baby, or could very well be a boy that's being born, one or the other. So we're looking at that sort of a thing. The other thing is that this would also be an indication about a lot of creative energy going on around here, some sort of a new beginning trying to happen, right? Especially Ace of Wands does bring up entrepreneurial based things, right? And again, like because of like money, finances, school, education, Ace of Pentacles, money, finances, right? And somehow or another, there's a lot of like female energy that is connected to this. The Empress is usually typically female energy. This is related to Venus. Venus is about like beauty, things like that, but it's also got it's connected to money, finances. So, like, this would be a good idea if somebody's looking at, um, Aquarius, if they're looking at some sort of job that has to do with beautification somehow or another. Like, um, like design, decoration, things like that. But also, if you are somebody that is a healer involved with like women, stuff like that, right? Because Empress is related to female energy, right? Venus is female type energy. And this is kind of about nurturing motherhood, stuff like that, right? So helping people, nurturing people, like things like that. So, but like you said, beautification, things like that, because this is connected to the home. So there is stuff about making money connected to home and traveling around and stuff like that, because you do have a chariot out here. So if there is a new money opportunity, could very well be like traveling, like home to home, stuff like that, or you know, things of that nature. So there's new ideas that come up here. So then there's the wish, people from the past, right? But then holding on to things, holding on to money, finances, stuff like that, holding on to your dreams that were connected to the past. And this kind usually comes up about like if you have to like spend a little money in order to be able to make money. Queen of Swords, like strategy, but also being clear. This could be very difficult for some of you because I was just watching this thing, right? Like I get hit with visions that I don't know where they come from. And I was just watching somebody working in human resources and somebody getting a new job or something like that. Like not the person that's actually working the human resources, but maybe their boss. Like they don't, they didn't have a boss. And so there's a new person coming in as the boss. And that person not being very likable. That didn't look fun. And that may be just the way that they come in because they're coming in as the Knight of Swords. So if there's somebody coming in, they're coming in very quickly, unexpected, right? They're coming in, they want to hit the ground running, right? And it's like coming in like a freight train kind of thing. So it may take a little while, or it's probably going to take a little while to get to know those people, get to know the new one coming in, right? Because they're just trying to make an impression, but it could end up being different later. Just seeing the first few months where they're coming in and just being like, oh my, what are they doing here? So, but I think that things can change a little bit afterwards. I think that's going to be difficult to like trust them after that experience, but see what's going to happen. But yeah, but definitely new ideas coming in around here around what it is that you're trying to do, whatever your wish is about. Like again, like entrepreneurial based things. Some of you may very well be having a C-section. This is a cutting, pregnancy, birth kind of thing, whatever. Um, Especially if you've had like difficulty. Um, the reason why this may become like a C-section is if you're pregnant, but it's like you're holding on to the kid too tight. There's a lot of stress, stuff like that going on. But this has a lot to do with like trying to hold on to things, and but it makes me feel like there may have been some sort of like health issue related to the past where if it was difficulty having kids, like you don't have the Haman card here, so I don't necessarily know if this is a breech birth or something like that, but um I don't know why I'm getting that information like that. So there is a lot of mother energy here, right? And part of me feels like I'm getting this message about somebody that is getting married, but somebody that's getting married, but I feel like the mother has passed away, and so there's been sort of a loss related to that. But if they want you to know that the mother is there, there's two things. Number one, there's a mother that's passed away that is coming in around their child's like wedding. The other thing is that there's somebody that's getting married, but there's a stand-in mother that is there. So if it's a stepmother or something like that, or if there's been a woman that's been like a mother, right? Like there's a substitute mother that is also coming in around here. So it's going to be like one of those two things. If there's going to be some sort of like marriage, because like I said, the Ace of Pentacles can come up connected to a marriage. And I'm looking at this whole like mother vibe running around here. So um yeah. So that's what I'm getting with that. Last but not least, we are looking at the sign of Pisces. And I didn't think that I was going to make this. But here we are. Sign of Pisces. Sign of Pisces. Pisces, Pisces, Pisces. What's happening? I just shuffled these. Empress card is showing up again. Relationship. Self-sustainability. New ideas. Fear of moving forward. Looking at options. Sagittarius, but also healing, patience. Oh, marriage, happiness, family, home. All right, Pisces. All right. So this is telling me that the last 3 months you've been going through a lot of healing process, right? And especially in the area of like relationship things. Um, you do have the Temperance card here, which is related to relationships. Um, Temperance card is also connected to the sign of Sagittarius. So could very well be if you have been being involved with a Sagittarius, that's also an option. You have the Page of Wands, which is a kind of about looking at options. So it could be like window shopping relationship things as well while you're in the process of healing, because there's a lot of sorting things out around here, right? And like you're in this kind of fantasy mode here around relationships and not really wanting to be married, but um, not in the traditional way anyway. Um, maybe it's like a live-in thing, something like that. But so there's that, because you do have the Nine of Pentacles here. So the Nine of Pentacles is a card about self-sufficiency financially. So, you're looking at like, can I have my cake and eat it too? Right. So, you know, this could very well be somebody that is having like, like a throuple, three-way relationship as well. Um, there's new ideas that come up here around like marriage, happiness, family, right? But see, you're sitting here with this like Nine of Pentacles, which is related to, you know, um, self-sufficiency financially, things like that, right? But then you have this like four of wands here, which does come up. So for me, it's a card that comes up connected to like a change in home and stuff like that. And so this could be a situation where it's like, oh, I'm in this relationship. I thought it was the way that it's coming across to me is like, oh, there's this relationship, and I thought it was just like, like friends with benefits thing, but now I'm like catching feelings around this person. So, what am I going to do with that? Do I want to have a stable relationship with them, or am I looking at moving in with them somehow or another? And things are progressing in a lot of ways. Um, So like stuff like that's happening. When the Ten of Cups comes up connected to the Ace of Pentacles, that shows as a marriage. I'm not saying that it's a marriage for all of you. I'm just saying like, for some of you there is this like marriage situation, right? With the Ace of Swords in here, it's like if you are having like two different people, then you're probably gonna have to like leave one of those people behind or in the or and the relationship with the one the one that's asking about marriage and stuff like that. So depends on how you're dealing with this thing, because you do have the Seven of Swords here. The Seven of Swords is a fear of moving forward. So that's what I'm saying. The Ace of Swords can be a card that is about like cutting something out, because it is a Mars related card, right? And Mars like cuts and snips. So maybe cutting a relationship out somehow, right? Or looking at options here around you're cutting out a part of your life, right? Like being a playboy or playgirl or something like that, whatever, right? If you found the person that you think you're gonna marry, right? Even if you're not necessarily being married now, if you found the person that's like, oh, like this is somebody that I want to marry, right? Then looking at options around how you're kind of like cleaning up your life kind of a deal. Look at what you're doing as far as that is concerned. But there's definitely like a lot of healing that is taking place around here, but it's also asking you to be like patient with like yourself. Pisces. Hmm. This is interesting because I'm looking at a situation here where you're sitting here self-sufficient, right? And it could be a situation where you're coming into some other money, whether that is coming through an inheritance or not or whatever. But it feels like there's like a lot of money here being presented to you. But it seems like somebody can be asking you for a lot of money as well, right? So if you're coming into money, right, don't be telling people that you're getting this money, right? The Ace of Swords is saying that if this person is asking you for money, then you're probably not getting it back. And that's going to cause problems. They're going to be cut out of your life anyway, right? So it's going to be a situation where I really want to say that if you're going to give somebody money, they just consider it gone. But I feel like whoever this person is, they're like a spendthrift anyway. And I feel like you don't really want to be friends with them because they only really come around if they're looking for money. And I think that this person is just going to end up going away anyway. I think that they see this as like you're their friend, so they're okay asking you for this, but I don't see you thinking that it's okay. So I would just tell you that whatever this situation is, and no matter which Pisces person this is that's listening to this, this is not the time to be giving somebody money. It just isn't. I don't care whatever the circumstances is. This I'm getting this thing like it does not feel right to me. Because this is somebody who's saying that they're trying to get on their feet and this is going to be able to help them, whatever. But I'm not seeing this person as getting on their feet. I think this is somebody who is going to get some money from you and they're going to use it for frivolous things and you're not going to see the money again. So if you know somebody that is like that, do not be giving them money. And this could very well be coming up if this is somebody that you had been in a relationship with before. They could be coming around you again. You could be running into them, or you could be running into somebody that is like that. But for some reason or another, that situation is showing up here. So, number one, don't do it. Number two, if that's somebody that you're with before, right, then cut that person out of your life and don't use that relationship as an excuse to not be in a relationship with somebody else. Just because you ran into a person that is like that does not mean that everybody else is going to be like that. Because, like I said, there's healing that is around this relationship section of your life, but that situation is coming up, right? So, I don't think it's necessarily somebody new. I think it's somebody from your past that is interfering in your future. So just be aware of that. So anyway, that's what I'm going to tell you about that. So that's what we have time for today. So if you like what you hear, click like, subscribe, share. Okay. Okay. All right. Ciao. Thank you.